that broke the ice and made me less nervous.
I'll read it.
Worked out great for me. Well, first of all, I just want to really take a moment out and thank you all so much for being here. This means the world to me. I just want to shout from the top of the mountain so many times because my life, I call it Blessed Beyond Belief. One day I hope to write a book, but for now we'll do a presentation titled Blessed Beyond Belief. So we'll start tonight, and thank you again for this opportunity, and thank you, Ms. Angie, Ms. Dee, Ms. and Adoption Knowledge Affiliates. I appreciate it very much, and thank you for the introduction. I'd like to begin just to give you kind of a background. I'm 32, as you mentioned. I'm 32. I always call myself a Reunited Adoptee. Anytime somebody asks to describe yourself, I like to say that because I like to open the opportunity in case somebody does want to know more about adoption and finding birth family. I was born July 25th, 1974, and I was adopted at 13 days old. I'm from Edna Gladney Adoption Agency in Fort Worth, Texas. And, well, there's so much to talk about. Basically, what happened was growing up, I was raised by my both adoptive parents that were high school teachers. My father actually taught at my high school. He was very involved in my upbringing. He was my senior class sponsor. My parents were my prom chaperone. I could get away with anything. One time I fell asleep, took a nap during a class, and of course the teacher went right to my dad. So I never got away with anything. So I had a good foundation, but I never felt complete. I never did. I will never forget when I was 8 years old, my adoptive grandmother from Waco took my sister, cousin, and I to see Annie. And after I saw that movie, I just started wondering so many things. Well, where's my birth mom? Where's my birth dad? What do they look like? Do they look like me? Am I like them? You just wonder so many things. And I remember my cousin and sister teasing me because I could not stop singing a song called Maybe. I'm not sure if you've heard it, but it talks about, and it says in the song, maybe my birth dad, maybe my father's sitting paying the bills, maybe my mom is playing piano, and you just wonder. You just wonder, why am I the way I am? I do believe that adoptive as well as biological family does make all of these in one. So after that, I started questioning things. And when I became 15 years old, I started getting kind of sick. And my adoptive father took me to many gynecologists. And all of them said, you just have it worse than the other women. It's just in your mind. Nothing's wrong. Just get over it, basically. Just deal with it. So I did. And as I got older, it started getting a lot worse. My husband, bless his heart, he's been my college sweetheart. I've known him for over 10 years, so he's been through this whole process with me, which has been unbelievable. It's really helped us. And while I was in college, when I became around the age of 24, I couldn't take it anymore. I was so anemic, the doctors still weren't figuring out what's wrong. And he and I were talking one day, and he said, Shell, I really think it's time. I think you need to know your medical history. So he, his brother, and I took a tour of the adoption agency. We went. I wanted to know where my birth mom lived. I wanted to know what she went through. So we took this tour. When we got to the end of the tour, the lady handed me this letter and said, this letter has been sitting in your file. I don't know why they never mailed it to me. I don't know why they never told me. But inside the letter, my birth mom had written that she had endometriosis. So she and I, from that point, you basically, through Edna Gladney, have to register both parties, the adoptive and the birth family, both parties have to register to communicate. So she and I wrote letters back and forth, but they would only allow us to put our first name. So I chose Shell, C-H-E-L-L-E. Did not make it easy for her to find me. And she put Susie. So they have a lot of stipulations. Most organizations do have certain rules you have to go by. Well, one of theirs was pay $75 for 1 hour counseling. I don't know about y'all, but for me as a college student, I did not have a lot of extra money. I was waiting on a tax refund. I really wanted to meet her. I was trying to do the right thing. It wasn't easy being sick and really wanting to know my birth family. So what happened was she asked if she could anonymously pay, but they declined. So then luckily she went ahead and took the next step, had someone help track me down, knew my date of birth, knew my name was Shell, and started guessing middle name Michelle Rochelle, first name at first, because my name's actually Janet Michelle to make it more confusing. And eventually they did track me down, and I will never forget, it It was the night before I was to leave for Thanksgiving break in November '98. And I went downstairs to get a soda because I had been packing and working on this English paper, and I called my English professor, left a message to call me back to help me with this paper. So my friend was working the front desk, and I went down there and he said, "Shell, there's some lady on the phone for you." And I said, "Oh, let me just take it here. It's my English teacher." So I pick up the phone and I hear, "Shell, this is Susie," and I just start shaking because I know that's my first mom. And I said, "Forgive me, but I need to run upstairs," because I didn't want to have a first phone conversation with all these people in the lobby. So I went upstairs. Turns out she only lives about an hour away, North Richland Hills. So she and her husband, or Susie and Anthony right there, and lady in the pink, lady in the blue. And so they drive up to Denton, and Dave and I, my boyfriend at the time, now husband, just hit it off instantly. And ironically, I just happened to borrow my best friend's video camera for a Spanish project, so we have that moment recorded, and I'm sorry I should have brought that, and I forgot. But what a moment to be able to treasure forever. It was just awesome. And we started talking, and she explained more about endometriosis to me. The very next week, I did go, and I got the diagnosis, and ironically, the initial diagnosis was the same as hers, initially found on the sonogram in the lower left ovary. From there, you have to go through a checkup, you have to go through a mammogram and so on, so it was just one thing after another. From that point, it turned out I had 2 lumps in my left breast. I had surgery like within the next day because they had to make sure it wasn't cancer. So I had to go through that. Luckily, it was not cancer, it was fibrocystic. Then that March, they did a laparoscopy for the endometriosis. It was stage 4, it was the worst stage because I had it, they said, the doctors say, probably had it for over 10 years with no diagnosis, no treatment, because I got the information so late. And basically it weakened my immune system. It invaded several parts of my body, causing all kinds of complications, and that's why I've had over 20 surgeries since age 24, and I'm 32 now. But I always try to stay positive no matter what, because I love my life. I am blessed beyond belief. I have plenty of family, plenty of friends. My husband will tell you I'm very spoiled since my reunion. For Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthdays, we celebrate probably 5 times a week. We have to diet after every holiday. So I love my life, and I have no complaints, and it has humbled me a lot. Another thing I want to talk about was my birth mom was very understanding. I know it was not easy for her, but she understood that I needed to know my birth father. So she actually helped me track him down. And from that, meeting him, he got me connected with his children, which I have 2 birth brothers and a birth sister. We get along really well. It's amazing how you can connect after not knowing each other for 20 years or more. But we do, and we keep a relationship. I have a lot of nieces and nephews, and as of this past Saturday, I'm now also a great aunt. I have a great nephew through my birth family now, so I'm really excited about that. And even better, my husband and I 6 months ago became godparents to my birth brother's baby girl. I call her Pumpkin, and she's 6 months old now. So it's just a wonderful life, it really is.